On Story is brought to you in part by the Alice Clayburgh Reynolds Foundation, a Texas family providing innovative funding since 1979. On Story, presented by Austin Film Festival, a look inside the creative process from today's leading writers and directors. This week's On Story, a conversation with Callie Curry, the screenwriter behind the classic Thelma and Louise and television's Nashville.
I honestly and unfortunately believe that at some point some other thing has to be summoned that comes from outside you or inside you. I'm not sure how it gets there, but when you're writing at a higher level than you feel like you would inhabit, there's something else at work there.
In this episode, Callie Curry reflects upon her experience working with Ridley Scott and writing the classic female-driven buddy film, Thelma and Louise.
Well, I grew up in a small town. I grew up in Paducah, Kentucky. I was born in Texas, born in San Antonio, and then moved to El Paso, and then my dad got out of the Army and we moved to Kentucky for reasons that, I mean, he died when I was very young, but if he were still here, I'd be haranguing him about it endlessly because I should have grown up in New York City. I think I could have done so much more if I had been in a place where I knew that anything was going on at all. With Thelma and Louise, it was completely, I was called to it. Mm-hmm. You know, that was, and unfortunately, I mean, fortunately and unfortunately, that was the greatest experience writing I've ever had. And I don't expect that I'll ever have that again. It was like the whole thing came at once, like the whole feeling of the movie. Like what people, I hope, left the theater feeling, that's how the movie came to me. Like getting punched in the heart. It was bizarre. But that's the line that came, two women go on a crime spree. And I knew that it was two average women who were not criminals, who were only outlaws in that the society that we were asked to live in was so insane that you could not help but break the law if you were yourself. And so I'd never written anything before and I had no idea how to do it. And I just knew that people did it. And I was producing music videos. And I think I said this yesterday, but I was watching people get stuff made that I was just like, are you kidding me? That clown got somebody to give him money to make a movie? Are you kidding me? You know? I mean, it was happening all over the place, you know? And so I thought, why can't I be that clown, you know? And so, but anyway, the point was, I just wanted to see if I could finish it, because up until then, that had been my biggest problem, is ever finishing anything. I had this crazy thing happen where I got this idea, and I felt I had this responsibility to kind of get it on paper. It consumed me. I'll never forget waking up in the middle of the night. I wrote the scene where, you know, Thelma has to call Daryl to find out what he knows. And she's saying if he says anything at all, just hang up, you know. And I wrote that scene, and I literally woke up in the middle of the night, wrote that scene, he knows, click, went back to sleep.
Hello?
Daryl, it's me.
Thelma, hello.
He knows.
I need more time.
What? All I said was hello.
And that doesn't happen to me. You know, it just doesn't, unfortunately. I wish it did. I mean, because when it does, it's a damn sight easier than sitting there having to think of it. That's not to say I didn't have hours and hours where I would sit there and try to think of, because I knew where the story was going at the end, but I wasn't sure of how I was getting there. Like I I didn't outline it. You know, I didn't know each scene. So each time I sat down, I just knew I had to progress the story. And I knew nothing about screenwriting. I didn't read any books. I remember I was in a bookstore one day and I picked up a Sid Field book and I opened it and there was a diagram and I was like, oh, shit, math. And I was like, I closed it. I didn't, and I knew if I started like trying to learn rules or whatever, there were any kind of limits or anything that somebody said, I wasn't going to be able to do it. Just watch a movie. You know how stories get told. You know, and some of the most exciting things that, you know, Charlie Kaufman, he's not reading, you know, page 23, have a inciting incident. You know what I mean? It's just more writing. It's more storytelling. It's just the same thing. I mean, if you're a screenwriter, you have to be coming at it from a pretty visual point of view because we are writing pictures. That's what we're doing. We're not novelists. Novelists write words. You know, they create entire worlds. I'm not saying that that's not it, but our writing is specifically designed to be a picture. You know, and so the idea that we are somehow left out of that whole part of the process of making it a picture. And, you know, I mean, I always encourage writers to think about it like that. So I thought about it for about 4 months before I started writing. I literally just sat there and would think, okay, what are their jobs? And like when I first started thinking of Louise, you know, I started thinking of her as this woman who no one can see. It's like they have these faces that go on over their face that completely changes it. You have no idea what their real face looks like. And that was so fascinating to me because to me that is like a perfect, it's like the woman mask, you know? It's a way of absolutely hiding who you are. And people judge you about that too, you know, or they assign things to you that don't have anything to do with you. And so the whole idea of Louise was like that to me. She was a character who completely hid. You have no idea what their life is, no idea, but they're there to present a very specific kind of face and not give you any personality or anything. That's how I started thinking of her, only because I knew that she was going to be in hiding. You know, that she was going to have this big part of herself that was in hiding. And then I started thinking, no, it's that wasn't quite it. So anyway, I just let the ideas marinate until I knew who both of them were. But I also realized I wanted Thelma to have not so many options. You were expected to be less than you were, and you were expected to be happy about it. Like that was supposed to somehow be success. She was just doing her job. What was expected of her, which was she would get married and probably have kids, and for whatever reason they hadn't gotten around to that, and her husband was the king of his tiny little castle, and you know, she went about her day trying to figure out what it was he wanted, you know, without really ever thinking of herself very much.
Damn it, Thelma. Don't holler like that. Haven't I told you I can't stand it when you holler in the morning?
I'm sorry, doll. I just didn't want you to be late.
Thank you.
Hon,
What?
have a good day at work today.
Uh-huh. Jeez. Thank you, no.
Hon,
What?
you want anything special for dinner tonight?
No, Thelma, I don't give a what we have for dinner.
I wanted women that I could love, that if I met them, I felt like I knew them or would be friends with them. Given the fact that I was, you know, prepared to do absolutely nothing with my life that could bring me any money, you know, these were the people I was going to be working with unless I married somebody rich. You know what I mean? It wasn't like I had, you know, I had not prepared myself. I knew it was a compelling story that I was telling, and I was having fun telling it in a way that was unexpected. You know, that's the thing, is that you want to surprise people, and I felt like that certainly did do that. And then Mimi called and was like, I'd really love to let Ridley read this. And I was like, oh, no. It's like, dream's over, you know? He's going to read it and just go, what? No. But that did not happen. We
Director?
talked about it endlessly.
I would imagine.
You know, and he questioned me on a lot of it. He was like, how do you think this is going to work? Like, they've just shot this guy. They're sitting in this coffee shop. She's crying. She breaks the cup, and they get in this fight. And is that supposed to be funny? And I said, yeah. And he was like, are you sure? And I was like, yeah, it'll work.
I'll say one thing. This is some vacation. I'm sure I'm having a good time. This is real fun.
If you weren't concerned with having so much fun, we wouldn't be here right now.
Just what is that supposed to mean?
It just means shut up, Thelma.
So this is all my fault, is it? I have to go to the bathroom. Sorry.
I knew that if you were with them, you were going to be with them, and that was the most important thing, is that whatever the setup was, you kind of had to be with them when the whole thing started. But it was really interesting, though, because I did think there were a lot of hysterical responses to it and, you know, overreactions. And I thought, wow, people are really threatened. And all I could say is, you know, if you're a man and you were threatened by that when you saw it, well, now you know how women feel every time they walk into the movie theater. So I feel for you, buddy, you know? No, I didn't think of it as a suicide. It's just I know more about where they're coming from and what their experience of the movie was.
Let's keep going. What do you mean? Go.
A lot of people see it that way. I mean, obviously, I sent them off a cliff. It's not a, you know, insane conclusion, but it was not a suicide. You know, to me, it was not. It was a metaphor. It was a kind of flying off into the mass unconscious and leaving them hanging in the air so that 25 years later, whatever, however the hell long it's been, we're still talking about it.
You've been watching a conversation with Thelma and Louise screenwriter Callie Curry on Story. Next up, filmmaker Avram Dodson and his short film Pistachio Milk.
My name is Avram Dodson, and the name of my film is Pistachio Milk. The idea for Pistachio Milk came from an experience I had when I was in Bangladesh in the city of Dhaka. In the downtown area, there's this giant walled garden, and it's interesting because people there, like, dating is not really something you're supposed to do, but people take their little illicit dates there. Anyway, inside of this garden, I saw this young teenage couple, and the girl was smoking a cigarette, and the guy was talking to her, and it was very close, and they see them, and she hides the cigarette behind her back, and they kind of back off from each other, and I just thought, like, who am I going to tell? You know, who am I going to tell that I saw you smoking? But the juxtaposition of how innocent it was and at the same time, like, taboo, I really wanted to capture a little bit of that in a film and just the magic of that place as somewhere to take a date. In this film, I think I was trying to get at how the main character, he's trying to find love and initially goes about it by kind of trying to buy off this girl he likes to come hang out with him, and isn't able to really connect with her until he opens up and is honest with her about who he is. The lead actor, who I cast right outside of the area we shoot, was the first person I cast. And we were having trouble finding somebody to play the girl who's his love interest in this. And he suggests this girl he happens to have a crush on, which I thought was perfect for the character. And we go and we meet her, and she just, you couldn't hope for more from this girl. She was just sass by the mile. She was fantastic. And I knew right then and there I had the perfect leads for the picture. I think the thing I'm most proud of about this film is that it manages to be romantic without being saccharine or sentimental. That, and I just think the two kids who were in it are wonderful performers and really delivered more than I could have ever hoped for. Coming up is my film Pistachio Milk. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoy it.
সোনালি, এই সোনালি, সোনালি,
কে?
আমি আতিফ। তোমার সাথে আমার কিছু কথা আছে, একবার নিচে আসো।
হ্যাঁ ছেলে, কি সমস্যা তোর?
না আঙ্কেল, সোনালির সাথে আমার কিছু কথা আছে তো আর কি, আমি ওকে বলতে যাচ্ছি, আপনি যদি ওকে ডেকে দেন খুব ভালো হবে।
হ্যাঁ সোনালি, দেখ তো কে ডাকে তোরে।
আমার মনে হয় আমি তোমার চলে যেতে কইছিলাম।
আমার কাছে পেস্তা বাদামের শরবত আছে।
ও, পেস্তা বাদামের শরবত কই? রয়্যাল হোটেল? যা যা।
আচ্ছা খারাও।
হাই।
হাই।
আমার কাছে আরেকটা পেস্তা বাদামের শরবত আছে। প্রমিস করো তুমি যাবে না ভিতরে?
হ্যাঁ প্রমিস করলাম, যতক্ষণ পর্যন্ত এই বোতলে শরবত থাকবে ঠিক ততক্ষণই, তার বেশি 1 সেকেন্ডও না।
ঠিক আছে। পিছে তাকাও আবার আমার চোখে।
না কিছু তাকে করছি। প্লিজ সাইড সাইড। তুমি আমার প্রেমিক হইতে পারো না।
কেন?
আমার প্রেমিক এমন একজন হবে যে বড়, সুন্দর এবং শক্তিশালী। তুমি দেখতে শুকনো, পচা এবং গরিব।
কে বলছ আমি গরিব?
তাই নাকি? আমার মনে হয় তোমার শেষ টাকাটিও তুমি এটার পিছনে খরচ করছো।
আমার অনেক টাকা।
ঠিক আছে, তোমার যদি অনেক টাকা হয় তুমি আমার লালবাগ কেল্লার ভেতরে নিয়ে যাও। কে ব্যাপার, নিয়ে যাচ্ছ না কেন? আমি কি দেখতে সুন্দরী না? তুমি কি আমার সাথে হাঁটতে চাও না?
আচ্ছা তুমি দাঁড়াও, আমি আসতেছি। আঙ্কেল আমাকে 2টো টিকিট দেন।
100 টাকা দাও।
আমার কাছে তো টাকা নেই।
টাকা না থাকলে কি মামুর বাড়ি আসবে নাকি? টাকা না থাকলে ঢুকতে পারবা? যাও ওদিকে যাও।
আচ্ছা আমি যদি পরে এসে দিয়ে দিই?
তোমাকে বলছি না, এখন যাও।
আচ্ছা আপনি ওই মেয়েটার দিকে একবার দেখেন।
ও মেয়েটাকে কি তুমি কি বিক্রি করে কি ঢুকতেছ?
না না, এটা না।
তাহলে?
আর কি ও আমার ক্লাস ফ্রেন্ড, একই সাথে পড়ি। তো ও বলছে কি যে আসো আমরা ঘুরতে যাই। হঠাৎ বলছে আমার কাছে তো টাকা নেই, এই জন্য আমি বলছি হ্যাঁ চলো ঘুরতে যাই। আপনি যদি এটা করে দেন খুব ভালো হবে।
টাকা না থাকলে কি ঢোকা যায়? যাও যাও, তুমি যাও, দিক যাও।
আচ্ছা আপনি কি কোনোদিন এরকম করেন নাই?
হ্যাঁ করেছিলাম। কিছু ছেলে মেয়ে যে পার্কে ঘুরতেছে ওদের মতো প্রেমও করেছিলাম, পার্কে ঘুরেছিলাম, বিয়েও করেছিলাম। এটাই ছিল আমার ষষ্ঠ জীবনে বড় দূর। তুমি যাও যাও, দিক যাও।
1000 টাকার নোটের ভাঙতি বেলা না? নাও, তুমি তো একদম ঘেমেই যাচ্ছ না, ওই শরবতটা খাও।
আরও দেন, আরও দেন।
ওইটা কি আপনার বস?
এটাই শুনছে আমার বড় জীবনে বলে।
সোনালি
ভালোবাসা যত বড় জীবন তত বড় নয় তোমায় নিয়ে হাজার।
কেমন আছো তুমি?
এই তো ভালো, আপনি ভালো আছেন?
কোথায় আসছিলে?
এই তো পার্কে।
আচ্ছা আমি বুঝছো আমার স্কুলে একটা প্রজেক্টের জন্য কিছু ছবি তুলতে আসছি।
তাই?
তুমি কি ছবির মডেল হতে চাও?
আমি কি আপনার ছবির মডেল হতে পারবো?
কেন না, তুমি সব দিক থেকে সুন্দর। আচ্ছা তো তোমাকে যেটা করতে হবে, তোমাকে কিছু পোজ দিতে হবে মডেলদের মতো। আর একটু অন্যদিকে। তাই আই ছেলে, একটু শোনো তো, তুমি আমার ফ্রেমে আসতেছো।
ওই আমার বন্ধু
তোমার বন্ধু কি নাম ওর?
আতিফ।
আচ্ছা তুমি একটা কাজ করো, আমার বোতলটা আমাকে দাও। আতিফ, তুমি বোতলটাকে ধরবা, বোতলটা ধরে তুমি একটু এই সাইডে যাও। তুমি আমার ফ্রেমে চলে আসছো তো, ঠিক আছে? আস তাহলে।
বাবু এটা ফেলো না।
মানে না নয়ন কেন ফিরে ফিরে যায় কে যেন দেখেছে।
হাই,
হাই।
তোমার ফ্রেন্ড বলছিল তুমি নাকি তোমার প্রজেক্টের জন্য মডেল খুঁজছো।
হ্যাঁ আসলে মডেল খুঁজছিলাম।
ও
তোমাকে দেখতে অনেক সুন্দর দেখাচ্ছে।
Okay.
তুমি কি আমার পারবে আমার প্রজেক্টে মডেল হতে?
শিওর।
নাইস। আচ্ছা আমরা কি একটু ওখানে কি ছবি তুলতে পারি ওই জায়গাটা?
শিওর, চলো।
ওয়েট এক মিনিট। সোনালি, তোমাকে অসংখ্য ধন্যবাদ। তোমার মা যখন কাজ করতে আমাদের বাসায় যখন আসবে, তুমি ওই ছবিগুলো দেখে নিও, ঠিক আছে?
ঠিক আছে। এটা ঠিক না।
তোমার জানা উচিত ছিল।
তুমি কি মনে করো আমি তারে আমার প্রেমিক বানাইতে পারতাম না?
কেন তুমি একটা গরিব, দেখতে শ্যামলা হ্যাংলা, যদিও তুমি এরকম তাও তুমি তারে তোমার প্রেমিক বানাইতে পারতা, কারণ তুমি চালাক। সবাই এটা বুঝতে পারে না, যদিও সে তোমার হয় কখনো তোমার এই গুণ বুঝতে পারবে না, কিন্তু আমি বুঝি। আমার কাছে তুমি চাঁদের আলোর মতন সুন্দর।
আসো, আসতেছো না কেন?
For more On Story, check out our free podcast at onstory.tv or search the iTunes Store and get the book today, On Story, Screenwriters and Their Craft, on Amazon. On next week's On Story, a conversation with screenwriters Kirk Ellis and Robert Knott on the classic anti-Western Unforgiven, followed by the short film The Well by filmmaker Christian Baker.